Hey guys, welcome to Street Initiative. And this week we are covering geography, and today is the last day to do geography. And we've covered a couple of new topics and interesting topics for geography for this week. And in continuity to that, let's cover some of the topics again. And next week, what we're going to do is we're going to cover history, and with that, we'll finish all the topics that we've been aiming to cover for before your prelims. And let's move on to your today's topic now. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is Chambal River. Now, again, this topic is important because in a lot of ways, this has been asked in your prelims question paper. Not like Chambal River with respect to Gharial, the crocodile, it has been asked. So yeah, this has been coming in your paper. So again, this becomes very important. So in this question, you have to identify whether the two statements are correct or not. The first is that it is the biggest tributary of Yamuna River and the largest flowing river through Rajasthan. And the second statement is that it is a natural habitat for Gangetic dolphins and freshwater gharials. Now again, remembering the tributaries of main river is very important. It has been asked a lot of time in your prelims question, especially you go down with the Godavari and Krishna, Kaveri. All these tributaries of all these rivers have been asked in your paper. So again, that is one thing that you need to revise and mug up. I think you really cannot have any conceptual learning with respect to that concept. So those things are important. So the answer to this particular question is actually C. Both the statements are very much true. The Chambal River is the biggest tributary of Yamuna, and it rises in the Vindhya hills. That is a town in near Indore, near in the Indore districts, which is Mau. So it rises up there, and then it goes and meets Yamuna River. And second statement is also very much correct. Gangetic dolphins are present, and Gharial is also, in fact, there's this rehabilitation experiment that is going with respect to this crocodile near this river also. Other than that, India basically has three types of crocodile. One is Gharials, then there is a saltwater crocodile, and then there's Magar crocodile. Magar crocodile is found almost on a larger territory of India. Saltwater, we find it in your eastern parts and Andaman Nicobar Islands also. So that was with this question. Always try to link the concepts, like whenever you're trying to read any question, like here we extended it to learning about some other crocodiles in India. So like this, always try to link concepts wherever you're doing your previous year question paper, especially in those places. Always try to do that. That will help you out with the future questions for UPSC also. So answer here is C. Let's move on to the next question. It's about heat dome. Now this was very much there in your current affairs. If you remember in in the summer months this time, there was this heat records that were broken in parts of Canada and USA. There was extreme amount of heat, temperature that was present there, and that is where the concept of heat dome comes into play. So there are two statements given here. Number one is it is essentially a mountain of warm air built into the very wavy jet stream, which with extreme undulations, and second is it develops when there's a poleward shift in the jet streams. Now, the answer for this question is C. Both of them are right. Now, what happens in a heat dome is basically it's like a dome in the atmosphere is created where all the heat, warm air is trapped. And that is what created this record reaching temperatures. So, in the Western Pacific region, it is usually compared to a swimming pool. So we had a lot of heat and at that point of time. So a lot of air rose up. Now you know that warm land gets heated up faster as compared to water. So there was this high pressure that's created on the land. So this allowed all the warm air from the ocean to shift towards the northern region, right? And we also have cold air coming from poles in those regions. So usually cold air is something that moves around the surface because it's heavier, and hot air is something that expands and it rises. So that mixing there allowed the hot air to rise, and it went and mixed up with the jet streams, right? And that even in the upper atmosphere, when we talk about the polar region, there's a cold wind over there, right? So that allows the warm air to shift again down towards the earth, and this ultimately creates a heat dome. So we have warm air which rises, and ultimately that comes back to the earth. So there's this dome that is created, and in which this heat is kept intact in the region. Sorry. Another thing that is important with the idea of heat dome is that it's usually corresponds to the times of La Nina. So that is also another important concept that you need to revise. Now, what is La Nina? That is also one thing you need to revise, because it corresponds usually with it. So that is also important factor that you should revise, and the answer here is C. We can now let's move on to the next question. Make sure you revise La Nina and El Nino, both of these ideas, I guess. The next question is about Trojan asteroids. And the first statement here is that it is a type of asteroid that share an orbit with the larger planet, and NASA has reported the presence of Jupiter, Neptune and Mars Trojan and Earth Trojan as well. Now, asteroids is something that you've always linked with the idea of those which are present between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. So all the rocky things that are found between those two planets is usually something we consider to be asteroids, right? So that is very much the explanation of asteroids. But again, your asteroids are divided into three classes. Number one is one that we talked about, that is Mars, those which are present between Mars and Jupiter. Second of those asteroids are called Trojan. Now these are asteroids which share their orbit with a larger planet. Now here larger planet could be anything, like here NASA has reported the presence of Jupiter with respect to Neptune, Mars and even Earth, right? So these rocky objects which share the orbit with the larger planet are known as Trojan planets. And the third classification is near Earth or asteroids, which have their orbit which are very close to the Earth. Sometimes they can be even in the danger zone. So these are three basic classification, and the answer here is C. Both of them are correct, and this was in current affairs, and that is why I picked up this question. And I think this was also an addition to new information that we usually study. Sometimes there have been questions asked on asteroids, comets, what are they? So these basic questions have also been asked in your paper, in your previous year question paper. So make sure you have these definitions done. I also told you, if you remember, to revise concept related to dark matter and all those ideas, right? Because that was also a lot in your news. So that is also something that you should have, you should keep focus upon. And let's look at the last question of the day. It's related to southwest monsoon, and the question here is, which are the main factors which govern the interannual variation in the southwest monsoon? So, four options are given. Number one is Indian dipole effect. Second is North Atlantic oscillation. Then there's Pacific decadal oscillation. And then there's El Nino. Again, like I told you, El Nino, La Nina, do revise that topic. And I think I don't have to explain what Indian dipole effect means and El Nino means, right? That is something that is covered in your static portion, and you should know it. And I think the answer here is also these two. So the answer here is B, because these are the major factors which have a direct implication on the southwest monsoon. Now, if you look at the other two components here that were also there, like the North Atlantic Oscillation was there in the news. So you should know what these terms actually means. So if we look at the North Atlantic Oscillations, this is basically, see, westerly winds blows over the Atlantic and they bring a lot of moisture into the Europe. And if the westerly are very strong, then summers are going to be cool and winters are going to be mild and rain is going to be frequent. But if the westerlies are suppressed, the temperature will be more extreme in summers and winter will have a heat wave kind of a situation and reduced rainfall, right? So how this westerly system works in the Northern Atlantic region is that you have a low pressure over Iceland and there's a permanent high pressure over Azores region, right? This controls the direction of the westerly wind over the Europe. Now, the relative strengthening or weakening of these positions that vary from year to year is what known as the North Atlantic Oscillation, somewhat like what we experience in the Pacific Ocean. But there's one catch here, that usually, El Nino and Indian dipole effect, that is both atmospheric and oceanic. So both of them work together here. But North Atlantic Oscillation is basically your atmospheric phenomena. There's not much of a oceanic changes that is happening here. All right. So that is one thing that you need to keep in mind. And again, if you have a huge pressure difference, like if it's a positive North Atlantic Oscillation, then that leads to increased westerlies and that might lead to cool summers and mild and wet winters, right? So again, the same kind of phenomena, you can go and revise this topic also. The third topic here is the Pacific Decadal Oscillations, PDO. Now, this is also a robust and recurring pattern, which is again ocean and atmospheric climate variability that happens over the mid-altitude Pacific region, and it's detected somewhere north of 20-degree altitude, right? So, this is not something that happens yearly kind of a system. Like it happened in 1925, then it happened in 1947, then 1977. So what happens is, if there's a warm or a positive phase of Pacific Decadal Oscillation, then the Western Pacific becomes much more cooler and part of the Eastern Ocean becomes warmer. And during a cool or a negative phase, the opposite pattern happens. So that is the basic thing behind the Pacific Decadal Oscillation. But these two incidents do not have a direct, they might have an indirect implication or a contributing factor, but they're not the main factors influencing the southwest monsoon. So here we have B as the answer, and so that's it guys for this week, and I hope some of the topics in geography helped you to revise some of the new ideas and new concepts, and all the best for your prelims. Keep on revising, and next week we're going to meet with some of history questions. Till then, take care and all the best.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update from Civil's Daily.